Hello, welcome to the Business Gene. It is a show that brings spirituality, business, and science together as one. I am your host, Judy Jewett. I am a transformation coach and healer, speaker, and author. I am so grateful that you're here. You're going to be so excited to hear from our guest today. His name is Tom McCarthy. I'm going to bring him on right away so you can meet this extraordinary man, and I'll tell you a little bit about him. Hello, Tom.
Good to be with you, Judy. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you. So I met Tom through a person we both know, Raymond Grace. And Raymond was talking about Tom in a newsletter. And I immediately was like, oh my God, I got to go read this book. Something just drew me to your book, Tom, is all I can say. And I went to Kindle. I had to have the book now. I didn't have time to wait another day. And I read the book, and I couldn't put it down. It was extraordinary. So let me tell you a little bit about Tom McCarthy, because you're going to want to get his book, The Breakthrough Code. So you can write that down, The Breakthrough Code. So Tom started his career on Wall Street, and then he proceeded to get involved with some high performance coaches, well-known speakers. One is Tony Robbins. He was living in North Carolina and then traveled to California. So he was divinely guided to go from one coast to the other coast. And then next, he became an executive coach. He works one-on-one high performance athletes and people that need a high performance coach. So with that, I'd like to bring on Tom. Hello, Tom.
Yeah, thanks, Judy. That's a nice introduction. Thank you.
Well, it's, I can't, I don't get moved to go to a book that I may look at it, I may say yeah, or I may say no. And even though I've been highly successful in corporate America in sales and have won president's awards, et cetera, and been a top performer, that's not where I am today. Today, I'm in more of a, more of the spiritual science business arena. So I don't think in terms of high performance. But let me tell you, your book, like I said, I even got the book out not too long ago and was reading it. And I just can't say enough nice things.
Thank you. Well, yeah, writing the book was really a work of passion for me. It's a parable, so it's not just a book of how-to. There's definitely how-tos in there, but it's a story. And part of the story is my own. It's not a biography, but I went through some different things, and I've observed many different things over the years. As you said, in my 20s, I left a job as a stockbroker to help run Tony Robbins' company. Then after that, I had my own company after about 3 years with him. And I worked with some of the biggest tech companies out there, speak all over the world. And so I've gotten to see and work with Olympic athletes. I've gotten to see all sorts of people. And I'm always curious, like, how did they get to there? How were they able to go from here to there and figure out what is it that they did? And the Breakthrough Code really is about, what do you do when you're stuck? What do you do? How can you get unstuck? Because my belief is that we are unlimited. We can live a life without limits. It doesn't mean that everything's working perfectly all the time in your life, but when you notice an area where you're stuck or you've got a concern, you can apply principles, and they are spiritual principles. I was I'm gonna say careful, but I wanted the book to appeal to the masses, and it's done really, really well. But the principles really are spiritual principles, right? That we are divine creators, right? We were created by the divine, and we are here to create. And when you do certain things, you create, and you're creating all the time. Sometimes we're just not creating the things that make us happy. We're creating things that make us unhappy or make us unwell. But when you notice those things, you take responsibility. I created that, and I can create something different. I can get unstuck. I don't have limits. It doesn't matter where I'm at, what situation I'm in. we are unlimited. And so the subtitle, The Breakthrough Code, is How to Live a Life Without Limits.
And it does take you through that. And, so this is how I perceive it. As I said, I've been in corporate America. I've learned from the best. I've been trained by the best. I was living in Houston, and I mean, I've been trained with Tony Robbins and all of the greatness ones out there at that time. And your book, what is so different is you bring the principles that will bring you highly successful with a very spiritual overtone. So the whole thing, I feel that's why I was so drawn to it, because there were so many words channeled by your divine self of wisdom, and your book speaks to everyone.
Yeah.
Well,
I appreciate you saying that. I feel it was channeled. I don't think, even when I'm out speaking and I get up on a stage or I'm coaching somebody, a lot of times the things that come out of my mouth, I go, wow, I'm not that smart. Like, that's something else. Like, that's something coming through me. And with the book, I did ask for help. I asked for, come through me, like, help me make this something that is better than what I can do on my own, way better than I can do on my own. And I think that's what happened. And, part of the book, I wanted to dispel the notion. I do believe sometimes things can happen very quickly, and it's just from A to Z. But a lot of times in life, it doesn't happen that way. I think our job is to figure out what we want, what's desirable, what's good for us, what feeds our purpose, and focus in on that and really see it and feel it and own it and bring it into our field. But then how we get there is usually going to be different than what we thought. And also, it won't be typically just by your own efforts. There'll be people that come into your life that help to guide you. And so the book encompasses all that. Like, the young person's journey is not like, oh, I learned this thing, bing, wow, everything's amazing, I never have to worry again, right? You shouldn't worry, but I never have to, struggle or do anything. Like, my life is just perfect. And when I was growing up, I had a lot of adversity. My father was killed in the Vietnam War when I was 3 years old. So that was very traumatic in our family. Actually, probably what caused me to even be on the path I'm on. So there was goodness in it, but it was very hard. It was very difficult. There's a lot of sadness and grief and feeling like life was not fair, and feeling like I got screwed, right, in life. And so when I look at my path, it's had all sorts of things that I probably never would have chosen, but that propelled me to get to where I want to go. And so I wanted to make sure that came out in the book. It wasn't just some fairy tale like, kiss the prince and everything now is wonderful. Because even when things are really wonderful, and I thought when I was young, I thought that's how it would be. Like, one day I will never have to struggle again. I remember one day I got to a point and I was like, wow, made a lot of money, right? Things are really good. And then that very same day, I remember goofing around, running through a parking lot, racing my wife, holding my son, tripping on one of those things that kind of stops the cars. Well, I don't know what you call them, but where the wheel goes up to. Tripping on one of those, we're racing back to the car and plowing my face and the side of my head into a bumper of a car. Tooth went through my lip, and I'm thinking, yeah, I guess challenges still happen, even when you think you've made it. So, and that's one thing I want everyone to understand. Yeah, I don't care who it is. Look at Tony Robbins or, somebody you admire, Oprah Winfrey, and you think, their life must just be perfect. And it is perfect, but not in the way you would think. Like, they still have adversities, they still have challenges. Those are perfect. Life is working in their favor. They're providing those things. Now, do they live in a nice house? Sure. Do they travel nicely? Yes. I travel nicely. People that have made money, travel nicely, but there's still things showing up that are nudging us in a direction where we need to learn.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, I agree. It's never over. It's always changing, always growing. And you think you think you're now living straight from abundance, right? And prosperity. And then all of a sudden, this little voice or this situation is like, oh, something's here. So one thing I do really believe, we're here to heal the trauma, the beliefs from our ancestors. So
Sure.
that makes a lot of sense. It's not,
Yeah.
life is not flat, right? It's not really
Yeah.
3D. It
Yeah.
We operate so much more. So of course we're going to be bombarded, or things are going to come up. Definitely. And I also I live on the principles to help my clients with human design, the gene keys, and that has I Ching and astrology backing, that literally we are affected all the time by the energy from the collective consciousness. So that's the other reason, it's not, doesn't matter how much work you do,
Yeah.
or what you've done, there's always going to be other stuff to come up.
Yeah. I mean, look, we're here in these bodies to experience things that we don't experience when we're in our non-physical form, or connected to the divine form. Everything's, there's no time and space, everything's there. But that also, I think, is why we have these human experiences. That's a little boring. Like, hey, everything's perfect, nothing to learn, know everything. Let's go out and experience. And I think through our experiences, though, our collective experiences, the divine is growing and learning and expanding. And so, because we are divine, right? We're part of that. We fake ourselves out in these human bodies, and we get a little addicted to the 3D world and, matter and things like that. But at the end of the day, it's all just a projection of our thoughts and our beliefs and our emotions. And in Einstein's work, everything's energy, and then it turns into matter when you observe it. But when you're not observing it, like if I'm not in my bedroom right now, I don't know what's in my bedroom, right? And maybe it's just all wave, no particle, no matter. So
Yes,
yeah.
it is. And I absolutely agree. Everything is energy, and it all transforms. Nothing goes away. It just changes forms. For sure. And it's, when we're in a rut or something is going on, energy can change so quickly for us, to our thoughts can't, with an emotion, can completely change wherever we are and whatever we're doing. I do want to mention, just because I know you're in Southern California and I love it. When I was there, I was I don't know if you've heard of Deer Park Monastery. It's a Buddhist monastery. It's actually not that far from San Diego.
Yeah. I think that's Escondido. I have heard of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So Thich Nhat Hanh, I mean, it's all about, and he's written 40 or 50 books, and it's all about mindfulness and being present in the moment. And it's about compassion in the heart-soul relationship. And that's really, I mean, I get it. That is really, if we could just be in that energy. If you haven't been there, it's really, they do a lot of retreats. They have a retreat in a couple months that is for, because they're coming from the spiritual aspect, and it's for science, people in science that are into all that. But just so you know, it's very close. And it's they do have a great website. It's when I was there, I mean, I had to really check this out because I have a son that's going to be a monk. And I'm going through all of my trials and tribulations of, what could be and what's not. You know how we get with our children. And you're in such, I mean, it is a enlightenment atmosphere of vibration. So talk about high vibration. That is literally, to be able to be in that. It's and there you are. I mean, we can do that ourselves, but it's kind of nice to be around other like-minded people that are in that higher, that higher vibration.
Yeah.
I like to talk about the person we know, that just because he's so extraordinary, a little bit about Raymond Grace. So how did you get directed to meet him? How did that go?
I'd heard about him through somebody a few years ago, and then, so I kind of I knew about him, but I hadn't talked to him. I didn't know a lot about his work. I looked at it a little bit. And then in 2020, I started a company with a friend of mine, a Qigong master, Master Chunyi Lin. And we had this monastery of Buddhist monks that are the Dalai Lama's lineage. And I'd heard years ago, a guy was telling me about how he had made contributions to these Buddhist monks to send harmony and prosperity energy to his company. And the guy was a billionaire or very, very wealthy. I can't remember. And so I was like, well, that's cool. I want to do that. And I couldn't find a way to do it. And then my friend Chunyi Lin did an online event where he had these monks. And I'm like, hey, Chunyi, let's do something where we can make contributions to the monks, but expose it to more people. So we started a company. And this is different than my training company, my speaking. And so I'm like, all right, how do I get exposure for this company? And I asked a medical doctor friend of mine, because it was, in the health field and that type thing. And I said, how do I do this? He goes, do a summit. And so I'm like, what's a summit? And he said, well, talk to these people. And I talked to this company. And so I did a summit. And when I was looking for speakers for the summit, I was thinking Raymond Grace. I haven't met him, but I need to get in touch with him. And somebody gave me his email, and I reached out, and he said, well, let's meet. And so we met on Zoom, and we had a great conversation. And he's pretty picky. He goes, I really like you, and I think let's do something. And then from there, he just became a friend. And so we talk maybe every month. And whenever I have an issue, like he's like, whatever you need, reach out to me. I want to help you, your family. And so he's very good at he does dowsing, as you know, and he's very good. And I find him to be actually really accurate on things when I'm asking him questions. And I've learned how to douse too through him. But I think the biggest thing that he's taught me, not taught me, but just reinforced, is the power of belief. Because I've always had strong belief, but then when I talked with him, like, he just took it to another level. And I think, and he'll even tell you, like, he uses, he douses, he has a little pendulum that he uses, but really he's using his intent, his belief, to shift energy, which then you're shifting matter. And yeah, so it's been amazing having him as a friend. And as you said, his work is phenomenal.
Yeah, here's my pendulum. And that's exactly what I learned, like you did, is I learned that when I speak and set the intent, it is so. And here I'd been a healer, gosh, forever. And so it really made a difference of knowing, like, I can use the pendulum. I can be with the client, and I do more. I have a 4-step healing technique I do. More so, that's really works on the DNA and the emotional body and so forth. But what happens, sometimes someone has so much to clear. I get out the pendulum and I can clear it rapidly and get more done in a shorter amount of time. So it's he's definitely made a difference in the world.
Yeah.
Definitely. So so my next statement is the power is in the aura. I don't know if that's where your beliefs are. The power is in the aura. Obviously it's not. It's how we present ourselves. It's our energy, right?
You say the power's in the aura. Is that what you
The
said?
aura. Yeah. It's our energy field. It's who we are.
Yeah. The field is what's creating. Yeah. So the aura, the field, absolutely. That's creating our physical being, that's creating our reality outside of our body. I think, when people think aura, they think just that surrounding layer that you can see in Kirlian photography. But I think our energy extends beyond that, and we create a field, and then with intent, you can extend your field. Like, I can communicate with you, even though you're on the other side of the country. This happens all the time, and it's part of what I teach. My son had a experience where this was probably about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. And actually, one of the intentions that Raymond does every morning is always be in the right place at the right time. And so my son was in the process, he was in private equity, and he was in the process of trying to, with his partners, senior partners, buy a company, a very famous company, but I can't say the name of, but it's a worldwide brand. And they needed a couple $100 million more in equity to be able to fund the deal. And so my son was thinking, all right, who can I contact? And I just said, program your mind to always be in the right place at the right time. And so he did. And he's a big believer in the power of the mind. And so he calls me up about a week later. He said, Dad, you're never going to believe what happened. I go, what? Because I'm walking down the street. He was living up in West Hollywood in LA. I'm walking down the street, and I didn't even notice, but this guy was jogging the opposite way. And right before he gets to me, he stops right in front of me. And I said, well then what did he do? He told me, he said, I don't know why I'm stopping. He goes, I don't ever stop when I'm jogging. I don't even usually jog this way. I live up in Beverly Hills, but something tells me I need to talk to you. For some reason, I need to talk to you. And he asked my son, what do you do? And my son said, well, I'm an investor. I think he said, I'm an investor. And the guy goes, I'm an investor too. And they talked for 30 seconds. But the guy just said, look, I don't know why I stopped. Something told me I needed to talk to you. But if there's a reason we should talk, here's my name, here's my information, get in touch with me. Now, my son didn't know a lot about him, but when he got back from the walk, he was intrigued. He looked the guy up. The guy was a billionaire, and he ran a $4 billion private equity fund. Long story short, they get together for lunch. The guy goes, I really like this deal. He goes, the minimum check I write is $100 million. He goes, I want to have another guy come look at it too. And, let's meet one more time. They meet for dinner. Each of those guys commits $100 million to that deal. Now, how did that happen? That wasn't just an aura around my son. He was projecting out into the field this intention to be in the right place at the right time. Had he taken a walk 5 minutes earlier, he would have never ran into that guy. Had that intention not been out there, that guy never would have picked it up and randomly stopped on a run that normally he doesn't even run that way. Something triggered him in the field to come to this place at the same time my son was there. Now you can say, well, that's just some random thing. That's pretty random if it is, right? Those type of things don't happen very often, but just randomly, I don't believe, but those things happen to me all the time. And I'm sure they happen to you all the time. It's because we're projecting out into our field these intentions, and then there's people that come and help us make them come to fruition.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. That's very, very powerful. And that's the one thing, another thing about your book that I really, really, really took to heart. It doesn't matter what age you are. It doesn't matter where you are in life. You start using these principles and it'll change your life and give you exactly what you want.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
The principles work no matter what age you are. There are no limits. I'm 62 and I'm not slowing down. I don't have to work as hard, because once you learn these principles, things become more flowing. You become more effective in getting results. But at any age, when you do these principles, we're tapping into the non-physical. Matter, trying to move matter is difficult. If I want to have success in business and I go, I've got to grind 14 hours a day. Now, I'm not saying that's terrible. But if I feel like that's what I have to do, there's going to be a lot of wasted energy. I'm going to be creating a lot of doubt, a lot of concern, a lot of ineffectiveness. I would rather dial into the result that I want to get, like, but really dial in, not to the level most people, yeah, here's kind of what I want. And it's kind of fuzzy, like dial in where you can see it, feel it, believe it. One of the habits we talk about in the breakthrough code. And it might take time. Maybe day one, you're not seeing it, feeling it, or believing it. It's okay. Get back in the saddle day 2, right? Day 3, day 4, keep going. And you're training your mind, not your brain. Your brain is not your mind, right? Your mind is this field. We live in our minds.
We do. Our field.
Yeah,
Our field.
yeah. Our mind is not somewhere in our body. Our minds extend beyond our body. And I call it your superconscious mind. It has incredible consciousness. Some people call subconscious, and they believe, oh yeah, that's like below conscious, but it's super conscious. It's so conscious, our conscious mind can't be aware of what's going on in it, right? Because it's too limited. Our physical realm of our mind is pretty limited. It can process 40 things a second. But the superconscious, I don't think there's limits on it. And this is so cool, right? We've got this superpower that we are tapping into, by the way, all the time. Because if we have negative ancestral beliefs you talk about, if we've got karmic situations that aren't resolved, if we have thoughts, I can remember, being in a car, driving up to Los Angeles and going, better be careful, you might get a ticket. And then literally, I get a ticket like 10 minutes later, versus now if I'm driving, I see myself getting to the destination with ease, everything going smoothly. I'm not going to put a police person in my thoughts, because that's just going to attract them into me and, get a ticket. So we're always creating. The superconscious is always creating. Well, it's not, my life sucks. You created that. In your superconscious, something's there that's creating that. And that's why part of your job is letting go, like freeing that up, releasing it, taking that energy and just letting that go and letting it turn back into beautiful white light, which is what we do in dowsing. But there's many ways to do that. I just learned a technique recently where when you want to manifest something, right? And this is interesting because I actually just learned this within the past couple of days. What you do is you go, all right, this is what I want. Is it already out there in my field? And if it were out there in my field, where would it be? And your intention will tell you, oh, maybe it's right here. And then can I feel it? Just energetically, can I feel that? Is it feel kind of a density, and you feel around, and, how big is it? And now it's out in the field. It's not inside our chakras yet. We haven't pulled it inside. It's out in the field, but it means it is starting to be created. You feel around, put your hand in it, feel around. Yeah. Okay, cool. And then you can start to pull that in. And then you can also say, all right, now what's out there that's blocking me from getting that? If there was something out there, where would that energy be? Or what thought would it be? And then you can feel out and start to feel that. And I was just doing this yesterday. I put my hand in something that was like, whoa, it was like, didn't feel good. And then you just clap it out, right? You clap it out because that pops the energy. And I could feel like a clearing when I was doing that just yesterday.
That is beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can take a sphere also and put in there what you want in a gold sphere and then send it out. But what I like what you said is what you're doing is you're seeing, did you create it? What else is there? So to put your hand someplace where it doesn't feel good, then isn't that awesome? You just cleared your field even more.
Yeah. Now the important thing with what you want is to pull it from the field. So every thought is creating something in the field. Like in quantum physics, every thought creates a reality. And so there's infinite amounts of Judys out there that have been created, right? And it's just which ones are you going, and they're all real, but which ones are you going to make real? Which ones am I going to make real for me? But pulling it into our chakras, right? That's important. So that's why when I go inside, I'm not, it's not just out in my field. I'm pulling it in where now it becomes real. And so that's seeing it, feeling it, believing it, and then and then creating a story around who I am, where now I am that person that has this, right? Those are important things that most people don't do. They keep it out there and then they go, it's not happening for me. It is happening. Every thought creates a reality, but it doesn't create a reality that comes necessarily into the 3D world that you're experiencing right now. It's real, it's there, but you've got to pull it back in.
I love that. I hope everybody listens to that again, because you just gave a huge, huge teaching, a way to manifest and creating. And that brings up another point is, like I'm in my 60s, and as we age, it's so easy, if you allow it, to catch this wave out there, right? Of, well, this means this and it means that. And it's like, I'm not even thinking of retirement, right? But you can just catch those little beliefs that you were told. And and I have a lot of siblings, and that's where they are, right? So you have to always recheck where you are and not take on, oh, now you're at the age where your body's going to break down. Well, really?
Right.
Well, I want my body to be a lot younger. Why don't I create that?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And the body will respond to that. I mean, there's been research, even when they took older men to a monastery and they surrounded them with pictures of when they were younger. Like, I think it was the 50s when they were younger, or 40s or whatever. And so everything in that monastery, they were secluded in this monastery. They all ate the same food, but all the pictures, the music, everything around them was taking them back to when they were in their 20s. And I think these men were in their 70s at the time. And what happened was they de-aged, like their biomarkers became younger. They looked physically younger, 5, 6, 7 years younger when they came out. And we can do that for ourselves. But yeah, buying into, that's why people say, well, I'm a realist. I'm like, no, don't ever be a realist. One of my favorite quotes, I put it in the book, is, and I came up with this years ago, is that the average person is going to conform to reality. They're going to go, oh, this hurts. Well, I'm just getting older. But greatness creates a whole new reality. There are people right now in their 80s that feel like they're in their 40s or their 50s, right? They're feeling great. They're not buying into it. Now, the masses just buy into it. They go, yeah, you age, you get slower, you get forgetful. I remember, a few years ago, I was trying to remember something. I couldn't remember it. And I'm like, oh, maybe I'm just getting older. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to, that's BS. I'm not going to buy into that crap. Come on, man. Brain's sharp. My mind's sharp.
Yes. I mean, you're saying exactly what needs to be said. I want to go over just a few more things about the book. I know my listeners are business people. They may be spiritual seekers. They may be coaches, so forth. And I feel it's real important for everyone listening to know this book. If you've been in corporate America for a long time, this book will help you. If you're a spiritual seeker just living the human experience, the book will help you. If you are a practitioner and you already are top in your field, or maybe you're beginning, in the healing modalities, this book will help you. Because what happens, spiritual people, healers think, oh my God, I can't make money, like there's something wrong with that. And money is a whole different topic, but and you can give your take. You're highly successful and you're very spiritual, that it's okay to have money. Money is a means. It's all good. So the book will take the left, it'll bring the left and right brain together as one.
Yeah.
You do a beautiful job. bringing that together. So if you are more in the spiritual realm and you're not thinking about, well, how can I do, do what the book is saying and how can I do that? You will. The book explains why you do it and
Yeah.
how you do it to bring the success of what it is you want to manifest,
Yeah.
whatever it is. There's no limits.
Yeah. And if you believe there's no limits, then there's no limit to money, right? Why there, it's not, money is not a zero-sum game. Money's just energy. And so if I make a lot of money, it doesn't mean that you can't, right? And hopefully the reason that I still focus on expanding wealth is because I want to be an example for people. If I go, well, I don't think I could, make X, then I'm buying into a limit. I don't think that's true. Now, it's not like I want to be Elon Musk. That's just not even what I want to do, right? But I do believe that I do still have, even at 62, we've done well, but I have huge financial goals. And I'm not expecting them to happen just through my efforts either. I think, when you go out into the non-physical realm, things happen. Like, I got introduced to 2 investments that literally made millions very, very quickly. Now, did I earn that? Did I put lots of work into it? No, I put some capital into them, but I came in as a founder in a couple companies that went public, right? Through relationships that I didn't even have a year prior to that. So things can happen, like thinking that, okay, I've got to go do this, and then it's going to do this, and then it's going to be this, and then this. That's limited. Like, figure out what you want. And yeah, you're going to put some effort into it, but a lot of the effort for me is that internal effort, like making sure that I have, that I'm focused in on what I want and I can see it, feel it, and believe it, connecting it to my purpose. That's the other thing. My purpose is to help people expand who they are and release things that hold them back. So if I'm not successful financially, I'm not a very good role model for a lot of people out there that are holding themselves back financially. And so for me, money it's just energy. I'm not accumulating it so that I can like hoard it. I think, when it's my time to pass, and even as I go along, like I'm trying to find ways to deploy it to help humanity. Right. And also to have some fun. Right. I think you should have fun. That's the other thing too. I think when I was growing up, I thought, all right, you have to have adversity to then learn or make that leap into success. And then actually Raymond is a big proponent of that. You can also learn just through fun and happiness and joy and things like that. The adversity shows up when you're not learning, when you're not going the path. Sometimes it's a little feather across the face. Hey, pay attention here. Then little net, need a little more tap on the shoulder. Then it's a brick upside the head, right? And we want to avoid the brick upside the head. And so what we want to do ideally is to constantly be seeking and learning and growing and reaching out. And then you have less adversity, I find, when you do that. You don't need it.
I agree. I mean, I know some extraordinary people that are healers and of all different aspects, of all different fields. And we get so in our right brain.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I spent a lot of time as an intuitive, in my right brain, helping people and seeing what's going on in their body and their soul and, why they're stuck and what's their core issue. And I have to bring myself back in to a really diverse person. A spiritual is balanced with their left and right brain. And you are really a huge example of a very spiritual man who has done a lot of work on himself and his awareness. You're alive, you're aware, very intuitive yourself, and that you can do that and understand that money is just a tool. You can have as much as you want. It's never going to run out.
Yeah.
Never going to run out.
Buckminster Fuller said you can go to the ocean and get a little teaspoon of water out of the ocean, or you can go and, fill up a huge truck, and the ocean doesn't care because it's going to rain and it's going to come back into the ocean. And yeah, so there's no such thing as scarcity. I used to be, because I grew up we didn't have any money. I used to have some jealousy of people that had money, and really aspire to have that one day. And then I just realized, like, jealousy is actually separating me from that, because it's almost like a belief that I can't have that you got lucky and I didn't, which a lot of my early life, that's what I felt. I felt like I got screwed over. Like, I don't have a dad, I don't have all these things. We don't have any money, but now I can see the blessing in it. Like, I got to learn things that other people didn't have to learn, right? Or didn't get the opportunity to learn. Not that they didn't have to, maybe they still need to, but I was blessed with those things. And yeah, I just think, now I don't get jealous of people. I look at people that are doing something really cool and I go, wow, they're just showing me what's possible. And I'm going to tap into some of their energy, because we can tap into other people's energy too. And it's not like we're stealing their energy. Like, their energy is just out there. We can tap into that belief system. We can tap into that energy and make it part of our own, so that we can start creating results similar to what you see other people doing.
When you think of the concept that we're all one,
Yep.
if our spirit is a drop of water to, as God is all of it, the creator is all of it, that we have the power and presence as the creator, right? We have that. That is our birthright. That's who we are.
Yep. Yeah. I think
really
we just have to remind ourselves of that, because we do, we're in this body, and this body, we look around and we see things, and those things, I see, like a water bottle here, that someone had to make that. But everything's created twice, first in the mind, then in the outside world. So when you go in the mind, you're going into the non-physical world. And it's interesting, like, if you really close your eyes and you relaxed and you said, who am I? If you were really relaxed, you'd go, I wouldn't say I'm Tom. I would say I'm just this being, right? And am I male or female? Nope. Right? I'm just a being. Do I have an age? No. Like, there's part of us that is infinite, that will live forever, right? And these bodies, we don't need them forever, so we shed our bodies. But when you go into that infinite part of yourself, that's where everything's possible. But you have to step out of the physical realm, the body, the known, the past, and create. And for 99% of the people on the planet, that's not something that they're really doing consciously. They're so stuck and embedded in this physical realm and trying to deal with it. And I think it is fun to be in the physical realm, right? So I love to go somewhere really cool and jump into a crystal clear ocean and see the fish and things like that, right? So that's cool. That's the experience we get from this physical realm. So we want to have one foot there, but we also want to have one foot in the non-physical, where we're creating. You can create in the physical, but it's a lot slower and harder, right? Because it's cause and effect, and the waves are so much more separate. When you go in the non-physical and you really elevate yourself, you can create much quicker.
Yes, yes. Did you ever read any of Wayne Dyer books?
Yeah, back when I was growing up, I even, it was weird. Like, I read it when I was in my teens and no one else was reading it, but that was the kind of stuff I was into because of the adversities I had in my childhood.
Yeah, you actually do channel, by the way. When you're talking, you channel. the divine presence, the divine beings.
I'm sure I do, because I know that some of the things I say, I'm just not that smart, right? I'm just not. That's not. It couldn't have come from me.
Yeah. I really appreciate you being here. You have a podcast. It's called the Breakthrough Code Podcast.
Yeah.
I found you on YouTube and actually watched you there. Couple of your shows. It was great, really great. You do have
Thank you for having me on, Judy. I really appreciate it. You have an amazing energy, and you're helping so many people. And thank you for letting me be part of your show.
Yes, and yes, everyone, please go to Amazon and get the Breakthrough Code, or go to your website, Tom's website, and you will be able to order the book, I believe, there too. Is that yes, yes.
I think my website, tommccarthy.com or thebreakthroughcode.com, sends them to Amazon.
Amazon.
And there is a page in the book where I did a master class, and we're giving away 4 of the videos for free. So in the book, look for that. There's a website you go to, and then there's a little code in there in the book. So it's at the beginning of the book, it's at the end of the book. Might be a little hard to find, but make sure you find it, because I want to coach you a little bit, and these videos will help do that.
Yes, and by the way, I even made when you said that everything needs to be in the 4 areas of the importance, I even decided I have to design that and print that off, because this I have to make it a right brain task, to be able to do it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I want to thank everybody for being here. Please share and comment. Share the episode. I really appreciate it. And go to tommccarthy.com and make sure you go get your book, The Breakthrough Code. Thank you very much.
Hey, thank you, Judy. That was fun. Thanks for having me on your show.